Hey, well, all my right thinkers, thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P-Farm. Thinking right, out here in my lab, we hours in the morning, putting together a good lesson for you. That's what I do for you. I got something nice for you today. Let's go. Rightism, 25 rules to live by. Storytelling, story with a message. I put the message in the story for life. I give life lessons. You tuning and receiving them. I appreciate you. We got a good thing going. Let's rock. Right Thinkers mission, and that's what I'm on, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right Thinkers Way of Life through mental and spiritual discipline daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, excuse me, aka know thyself. My mission is that all right thinkers know thyself. Right thinkers, your goal as a right thinker should be to know thyself. So let's work together and get this thing done. So I asked the question, do you know you? It's rhetorical. But if you know how to answer for yourself, tune in. I can help you with that. That's what I do for you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not. It's simple. You teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believes and thinks that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm a spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers. Know self. And you know the deal. To Maya, be true. I'm going to take you on a quick lesson, a 2-page, I guess. But the title, I think let's talk about listening to the teachings. And then we're going to go over to choosing a spiritual path. That's going to be fun. So let's get out this lesson. Okay, listen to the teachings. It says, ancient Egyptian proverbs, the lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of what? Understanding. Give that you may receive. Again, if you want anything, you have to put forth what? The effort to give it. You can't receive without giving. Let's go. 2 important qualities which aspirants and right thinkers in a spiritual studies group need to develop are what? Listening and speaking. Those are important qualities. Let's talk about it right quick. Now, in order to grow in spiritual sensitivity, you must first develop what? The faculty of listening. Did a lesson on that a long time ago. Listening what? Implies concentration. An attentive listener means you're concentrating on what the person is talking about, on what is being listened to. And one cannot always knows best and is not patient to hear even what the ignorant may have to say. But if you want to be understood, here you go. You must what? Strive to what? Understand others first. As a teacher, again, my goal is to teach you, not to control or manipulate you. So I listen to you respectfully. Whatever you want to see eradicated from the world, which is violence, hatred, a whole bunch of satanic nonsense, yeah, eradicate it what? From yourself first. And now you will discover it has what? Left the world as well. Why? If you ain't contributing to it, you're doing something about it. You either the problem, part of the problem, or you're part of the solution. Part of the solution. But if you want to just listen to first to others, listening is a special art. Why? Which leads to what? Understanding. If I'm not listening to you, I can't even come close to trying to understand you. So listening is important. And this is why listening is the first step in practice what? Of yoga, right thinking philosophy, or yoga wisdom. That's why. It is important, first of all, to understand that while the presence of a spiritual preceptor is the best form of spiritual instructions, trust me, yeah, other means of acquiring the teaching should not be overlooked. Again, You can get the same book and read it and see what you come up with. If you have nobody to break it down and give you a synopsis, meaning explain it to you, sometimes you may need somebody to help you out. That's what the teachers' instructors are for. But we ain't the only way. You could do it on your own. It's possible. I ain't saying it's impossible. You need to know. I ain't what I'm saying. But it makes it a lot easier. That's all. And modern technology, which we have now, has allowed what? Many different forms of media to what? To be employed for the purpose of spiritual education. Pin right there. I thought being a spiritual preceptor myself, I know how I approach it. I know why I do it. I'm starting to see it now turn into a hustle. That don't set well with me. I'm starting to see manipulation. I'm starting to see misinformation. As a teacher, that bothers me. And watch this. From our ancient times, all we had was what? The book. Before the book, we had the folklore. We talked it, we spoke it. So we gravitating, we getting better, but is the lesson, is the message and the integrity and the authenticity still there with all this new modern stuff that we got? I'm just saying. Today it is possible to use audio recordings. That's what I'm using right now. Okay, the visual, the podcast. But this is an improvement. Why? Because the inflections, emphasis, and other particulars can now be what? Imparted as the teachings is being given. I can add on, take away to my discretion to teach my lessons in this form. I love that. And there what? We got 3 modes of teaching. All right, which a spiritual preceptor uses. And I can attest to this because I use the same concepts. The first one is what? Teaching by action. I'm here every day to show you. Okay? A preceptor what? Shows how to act. How? By example. You're going to lead by example. You're going to teach by example. Practice what you teach. Next, a teacher uses what? Speech. I have to, when the highest energy centers are unfolded in a stage, what happens? The faculty of speech now what? Blossoms. You're able to express yourself with knowledge that you obtain from studying and manifesting. It's easy to do what I do. Why? I live it. I do it. It ain't hard for me to speak, but I'm doing. That's what they're saying. When you're good at it, your speech blossoms. And what happened? This means that the power to what? Use words unobstructedly, meaning it just flows out. It just comes. In speaking in order to make what? Your teachings subtle spiritual influence, which can now what? Occur between who? The aspirant and the spiritual preceptor. If the aspirant, you right thinkers, allow yourself to come under what? The direction of a sage. This process occurs when a spiritual aspirant purifies him or herself. How? By cleansing the negative thoughts, bad thoughts, and feelings from what? The heart. Here. And when you do that, that allows themselves to what? Now to develop what? Faith in the teacher and eradicate their ignorance about the teachings. If you're not serious about being right thinking, don't waste your time because it won't work. You're just going to be wasting time. Don't do that for either one of us. Moving on. But that's what they're telling you. If you ain't all that, it won't work. Therefore, devotion and service to who? The teacher and to the what? Teachings is more important, are very important. It ain't about me. It's about the teachings that I give. Please understand that. Okay? I don't need fans. I don't need no fanatical people. Oh, he's this, he's that. I don't need that. Trust me, I don't. Moving on. Let's get to the lesson of choosing the spiritual path. It's be interesting. I thought it was. So I picked it out. And I'm cherry picking now to try to make the lessons substantiable for you to learn. My goal is to get you to understand. So let's go with this one. When choosing a spiritual path, choose what? A format to study. You may choose, and you got three of them. Watch this. You can choose the religious path. I went over that. Religious text is still to get you what? Enlightenment. If correctly, it'll do that. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. I know that. Then the second one is my favorite, the yogic path. I gave you 5 disciplines of yoga. Take one you like. I chose them all. Integral yoga is my preference, and we get into that right now. Or integral, or what I call right thinking philosophy path. Any one of these paths should get you to enlightenment. And if you put the work in, you will reach it. If you have as any one of them, you won't get nothing out of it. So it don't make a difference which one you choose or how you choose. It's the work that you put in to get the results out. Excuse me. All right, so let's talk about the first one, the religious path. I'm going to church this morning, Mother's Day. That's religious. That's religious path. I walk that path also. Watch this. For the purpose of what? Understanding what they doing, how they doing it, so I can help them, enlighten them, not disrespect or discourage them. That's my mission. And understand that the religious path entails what? Study of particular myth. They got that. Practice of its related rituals. That's what we do every week. Okay. And entry into what? They're metaphysical. That's the part most Christians fall short at. And what's that? Understanding what you're doing. And to live it, practice it, you will have what? The mystical experience. Now you become what? Enlightened. Thus is the purpose of the teachings. You may study the teachings by what? Examining the myths and discovering their mystical content, the purpose and the reason. If you feel a strong affinity for the what? Images of the divine and the glories related about them in the myths, you should choose the what? The religious path. If you want to be a Christian, Muslim, or Jew, that's the religious path. You can follow any one of them and get you where you want to go if you put the work in and follow the rules. Simple. As your main, but not exclusive path, you can study and become what? Well versed. That's why I fellowship with Christians. I want to become well versed in what? In their myths. They think their myths are literal. It's another lesson. But if they understood that these are myths, they'll be just fine. Okay, moving on. But watch this. They become well versed in the myths and it's what? Mystical implications. What is the purpose? By reading and related books, aka the Bible, listening to the related tapes, okay, and practicing what? The related rituals when prescribed. If that's your religious flock, that's what you should be doing. Simple. Next one is yogic path. Let's talk about that one. This means what? Studying the mystical philosophy by practicing all the yoga path by concentrating on one that what resonates strongly with your spiritual aspiration and your personal personality. What feels comfortable to you? What you like? Okay, yoga wisdom. You want to learn, you want to become smart, wise and smart, you practice that. Yoga of right action, you want to be a right thinker. That's what we practice. Giving us, offering a selfless service, living, doing the right thing. Yoga of devotional love. I don't say fanatical, but fanatic. Those women, those people who are blissed out, they are devoted to God. I ain't got a problem with that either. Okay. I practice that philosophy and my favorite yoga meditation. You see, yoga tantra is not in there, but it's trying to make 4 basics and they usually bring them out. Okay. Because they all have a specific purpose. If you choose that one, that's what you're going to get. Now, if you feel, again, a strong affinity for what? One or more of these yoga disciplines, you should what? Choose that discipline as your main but not exclusive path again and study and become what? Again, well versed in that discipline you have chosen by reading and the related books, listening to related tapes, and practicing the disciplines when? Daily and regularly at what? At the prescribed hour, time, or place. Whatever they're supposed to be doing, be prepared, be ready, and come in and do what you got to do. Next one, my favorite. This is right things. This is us. The integral path. Why? It combines. That's why. Two, what? Religion and yoga. I got a little bit of both. That's why I practice Christianity. I fellowship with Christians. That's religious concept. I don't have a problem with that. Moving on. Or you can what? Focus on one book at a time. This is the most consuming form of what? Practice. And it is practiced artistically. It can be what? The most effective since it leaves what? No aspect of your personality untouched. I'm loving this. The integral practice means affecting the parts of the mind. Right thinking philosophy, right thinking that yearn for what? A religious experience, if that's your thing, but as well as what? That part which scientific. There you go. I'm not going to follow something blindly. I tell you, the heart conscious is spelled CONSCIENC. Why? Scientifically proven. There's a method to the madness. It ain't just willy-nilly. No, scientifically proven. So that's part of what? Integral yoga. You understand every aspect of your character. Why? By studying every other aspect of other things and pick out the part that suits you, and you master that. I chose them all. That's why the integral part works for us, right thinkers. Watch this. Now, this path of right thinking philosophy is advanced for advanced practitioners and those who what wishing to become advanced. How? By adding more disciplines to feel what every waking by adding the disciplines to feel every waking. That is why at work you can practice righteousness. You can practice all your philosophical concepts, your yoga philosophies at any given time. That's the integral understanding of how to use the different disciplines. Again, while at home, studying, meditating, or practicing what? Your devotional ritual, etc. When you are anything, it takes some study time. It takes some practice. It takes some implementation to manifest what it is you're learning. I don't care what it is. Be it religious, yoga, integral to make a difference, but you still got to put your study time in. Understand that. Let me go to the next one. Now, you got number 3. You may contact the teacher by phone with questions. You can download information, ask questions. I got no problem with that. Now, also, anyone may feel free to contact what? The teacher directly for what? Spiritual counseling. I'm not your buddy. I'm not your buddy. I'm not your, none of that. I'm your teacher. I will give you information. When you talk to me, you're getting what you come here to get. Knowledge and information, not a friendship or a relationship. I ain't into none of that. Don't get it twisted. So I'll let you know ahead of time we ain't playing them games. I don't. So I ain't got to worry about it. Why? I start that before it gets started. Okay? I'm not here to flirt and all that nonsense. Moving on. We're reading this book that we studied from right here. It says the book Initiation into Egyptian Yoga should be what? Your textbook. That's what I'm teaching from. At one time, it was my Bible. I go nowhere without it. Why? Because I'm constantly learning and getting my lessons as I go. This was over 10 years ago, so this is all old to me. Moving on, this is the concept that I learned from, and I'm just teaching you how to learn what I did. That's all. Help me along the way. This is information. Useful information, I call it. Watch this. Now, it should be a textbook for what? Ready? Daily practice of Maya philosophy. Why? Because it has several questions which should be what answered first before what beginning. These are things that you should know before you start. And it contains what? Detailed instructions on how to set up one's personal daily spiritual practice. I got all that stuff over here, but I thought that was it's at beginning your course of study, questions and tapes from books to read, and service to the teacher at the temple. For me, to me, that's fluff. It's not useful information, just information. It ain't really useful when time is needed for it. I bring it to you right now. That's not the time or need for that. I'm picking out what I think is useful at this point. Understand that. But yes, a whole bunch of other information. That's what they're telling you over here. I done bypassed that to get to here. Okay? See, I'm hopping over. Cherry picking. Okay, but the information is what's important. Let's go. Content, content, content. I see the clock. Now let's go. The group that you belong to also can help to what? Reinforce and support the individual. This is the main benefit of what they call study groups. I was in one. I see how it work. I understand it. I get the concept. No problem. Number 5. Think we got one more to go. Yeah, excuse me. But another important element to what? Spiritual practice, you ready? Is community work. When I was in Patterson, I was a streetwalker. No, not telling no, but meeting the people on the streets, on their level, on their terms, in their comfort zone. I would go in the hood where they're selling drugs. Didn't care. I'm going right up into the man. Listen, I seen the kid look just like me when I was doing that nonsense. I had to put him aside and say, yo, my man, this ain't a good career. What you mean? Trust me on that one. I ain't doing much trying to get your heads up. But yeah, the game don't change, just the players. Understand that? So let's go. The world will still go around. But community work, man, you going in the community and helping the people in the community in your daily spiritual practices. And you got what? You should hold group meetings. I'm trying to get into that coming up. Can be seen as what? Your formal spiritual practice. When you get a group of people together and you can educate them and enlighten them, that's always a good thing. I started with the man-to-man think tank back in Michigan. Every Saturday morning, I tune in. I'm right there with him in spirit. I do my man know. Look, if you doing positive stuff, I'm rolling with you. I ain't going nowhere. I'm still on board. Okay. But you also need what? To engage in spiritual practices where? In the outside world. Why? Because this will give you the opportunity personally to what? Test your validity of what? Your teachings. Okay. And to hone the what? Spiritual skills. Simple. That classroom environment, I loved it. Why? Because I controlled the environment. I love that. That's too easy. But when you will encounter what? Temptations that won't be good of all kinds. Again, not good. A temptation is never good. Learn to disavow all temptation. That's desire. You may be tempted, watch this, with what? Ignorance. Here you go. By what? Worldly people who don't know no better. You be tempted by drugs. You may be tempted by sensual pleasures, physical enjoyment, etc. See where I'm going with that? Those are all things that you control. If you allow it, it's on you. You're responsible for that action. Watch this. And your task, right this, as a right thinker, is to become more what? Spiritually strong by what? Taking recourse of what? Your inner self, your Jedu. Jedi sound familiar? That's you relying on your inner spiritual forces. Luke, use the force. Right thinkers always use the force. And what happened? Now you will be able to what? Practice understanding and self-control. How? When you are provoked by the outside world. I became a self-mastery. I don't know if I'm going to do that. But I became a self-master by my daily routine and activities in my daily life. I've gotten better at dealing with things that I normally wouldn't, put it that way. But they need to what? Be practiced where? You ready? In your daily life. Sorry, I get excited, but that's my point. If you're not manifesting the stuff that you claim to talk and in your daily life, it's a waste of time. That means you ain't practicing it. If it ain't working for you, that means you ain't good at it. So again, I get a little excited. It's getting close to home. Sorry about that. Watch this. You will, what happened when I'm at over here, I lost my place. You cannot expect progress in spiritual life if what? You just study the teachings, discuss them, and philosophize about them. What you need to do, they need to be what? Practice in what? Your daily life with what? Your family, at work, at recreation, in times of what? Prosperity, and even in times of adversity. That's when you really gonna see what you're made of. When you have a situation, not to your likings, how you deal with it shows who you really are, okay? Some people just freak out, lose, just can't handle adverse situations. They drama feel they're gonna add to the drama by the way they acting during the adverse situation. Just like putting kerosene on the fire, it's gonna go worse. So please understand self-control, acquiesce in becoming what? Cool. Maintaining, okay, a state of mind. Nothing's going to upset me. Nothing's going to rile me. Nothing's going to knock me off my space, so to speak. And what happened? They need to go what? Deep where? Into their own heart. That's where it's at. So a serious spiritual right thinking aspirant must also what? Practice them how? By serving humanity, doing good things, offering up a selfless service. This falls under what? The discipline of, you ready? Yoga of action, aka Maya, right thinking philosophy. As you practice the teachings, what happened? You learn intellectually, is experience, and this experience what purifies the heart. Doing the right thing, speaking makaru, and treating people the right way purifies the heart. And purity of the heart means what? Means you're growing in selflessness, you're growing in inner peace, you're gaining what? Contentment with yourself and wisdom along with that, etc. And you'll be what? Speaking my favorite, makaru. A purified heart will become more sensitive to the subtle meanings of what? The teachings, which is mental peace, and thus a human being can now promote their what? Movement toward sublimation of what? Their ego. The human aspect of them character. They becoming spiritual now. Why? When the ego is supplemented, a person can what? Achieve through meditation and spiritual enlightenment, can obtain it in a what? A short time. You should not go into the world where until you are what? Ready. But however, study and do the practices when daily. A spiritual life until you what? Feel ready to expand your practice. Practice until you get comfortable doing it. Don't go showing off. Well, I'm this, I'm that, and then you ain't good at it. That ain't cool. Otherwise, you will what? You will be risking, you ready? Frustration and failure if you move too fast. Again, progress, take your time. Learn it 1 degree at a time. You can't get all 3 degrees in one night. So understand that it's a process. You go by degrees. Same thing with spiritual enlightenment. It's degrees. If there are any questions, what should you do? Seek a spiritual counselor first, or read the book of Wisdom of Maya and the Healing of Criminal Heart. Those are books that's going to gear you to doing just that. Understand certain aspects. Let me wrap this up. Oh, Lord. This duty of selfless service by right thinkers can be carried out in several ways. Let me wrap it up now. A spiritual aspirant, right thinker, you can participate in worthwhile what? Community projects. Volunteering. I cook for my church picnic, okay, etc. You offer up a selfless service. Also, in the yoga tradition, the highest form of service is service to what? The mission of a spiritual preceptor, aka sage. The task of bringing enlightenment to the world is what? The greatest form of what? Selfless service. I'm here every day for that. And charity, where it begins and elevates and eradicates what? The source of all pain and sorrow. Not only is this life, but of those to come in the future, if you be reincarnated. Therefore, what? A spiritual preceptor is seen as what? The most compassionate being on earth. I don't know about all that, but I'm working. The act of following what? In the footsteps of an authentic spiritual personality is seen as the most laudable form of spiritual practice. If you like what I'm doing, follow me. Which what? A right thinking aspirant can what? Practice and master. The aspirant, right thinker, can help the message to get out by what? Promoting the teachings, demonstrating them to others through what? Programs, becomes proficient through daily practice. You become proficient. He or she can now begin to what? Produce, you ready? Their own literature and educational materials, whole classes, etc. If you want to be an assistant right thinking teacher, learn the philosophy, perfect it, and we can work on that. But even if you have not reached enlightenment, the act of what teaching allows an aspirant to what become motivated and proficient in the teachings, and the selfless service to humanity is a form of action, but it's also a form of advanced love, aka yoga of devotional love. Why? Because it expands a person's concerns to what? The entire world. And this expands their consciousness. Thus, this point is clearly made, watch this, in the book of Coming Forth by Day in chapter 33. See the book of the Egyptian Book of the Day. I got that book too. Mysticism of the Per and Heru, and should be studied what? Carefully. I give you lessons there too. As you give wisdom, you are what? Giving more wisdom by what? By the divine. So therefore, do not hoard anything and do not hold on to any knowledge that you obtain. Why? Give it away. You holding it does nothing. Give it away. That's why I tell you, my knowledge is free. The merchandise is to help me. I appreciate you, donation, whatever. But yeah, I'm not selling knowledge. Moving on. Share your knowledge. Perfect segue. Share your knowledge, what? Freely. That's what I do daily. And this will what? It will allow you, watch this, to grow spiritually in great strides as long as you remain free of what? Selflessness, pride, and egoism. Ding, ding, ding. An aspirant right thinker should always remain humble. The more notoriety I get, the more people pay attention, the more humble I get. That wouldn't happen if I was in that mindset. Watch this. And consider what? Him or herself as a student of life. I'm a master of my philosophy, but I'm still a student of life, so I'm still learning. And this attitude will prevent egoism. There you go. And this will allow your heart to what? Purify and expand. Always feel that you have been blessed by God to have come into contact with what? Your spiritual teacher, and allow yourself to what? Be a vessel for the teachings and to touch others. Open your heart to the joy which the teachings are bringing to you and the unburdening of your mind with the pressure of what? Life and the discoveries of what? Long awaited answers to the most important questions of life, which is what? You share this joy with others, but without attachment. Spiritual life is an internal awakening and an internal feeling. It's personal, yes, but do not expect others to agree with you or praise you. Look only to what? The approval from your teacher and from what? You see me pointing up? The divine. I knew I lived for that approval, not man's. Understand that. When I was him, I lived for his approval. Now, here's wrapping it up. In this manner, right thinkers, you are now serving the divine where within yourself, and you are eradicating the egoism also and ignorance, which is keeping you in what? The bondage to the lower nature. So realizing, waking up, knowing thyself is the way to get up out of here. Why? With knowledge of self, conscious, Jesus, they call it Christ consciousness, right thinkers, you reach knee heights, you have spiritual awakening, you have reached the level of right thinking. And now you are ready for what? The next life. Understand that it's just a concept. And those who follow it, that's what we aspire to do. And right thinkers, hope you enjoyed the lesson. And in closing, may all you right thinkers live to be 100 and me 100 minus a day. So I never know that right thinker like you have passed away. Keep on studying. That's what I do for you.